A nationally ranked sales leader turned elite performance coach, he was the #1 producer at a publicly traded firm for 10 years straight. Now he helps sales teams build winning cultures through humility, vulnerability, and curiosity. He's an author, he's a speaker, he's a podcast host, and there's a phenomenal episode with me on it. And he's a former college quarterback who still quotes 80s movies like it's actually his full-time job. Most sales teams aren't really teams. Welcome to the Leadership That Sells podcast. Sales teams are teams in parallel. They work in a similar way, and they're not really working with each other. Most sales managers are still leading like they've got a football team, and in reality, they've got a group of golfers on different courses. Now, there's a mismatch there that creates all kinds of pain. Poor coaching, bad pipeline meetings, burned out managers, reps just drift along. So what we've got is a lightweight reset to help your managers lead in the right way, setting clear expectations, building identity without the fluff, coaching for autonomy and data without going hands off. It's not just training, it's a shift in a model that fits your team, and I'll help you scale performance a whole lot faster. Now, if that sounds like your world, grab the Parallel Team Playbook at the Practical Leadership Academy website. It's short, sharp, and made for senior folk with teams of managers just like you. Casey Jacox, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
I'm grateful. This is going to be fun, and we switched roles. You were the fantastic guest that joined my podcast. Now that the pressure's on me to bring the heat and thunder like you brought on mine.
You're going to bring the goods. I have no doubt that you're going to bring the goods, right? So let's go straight to it. You spend your time coaching sales teams, and the line that you use that I like is you want to win the relationship, not the deal.
Correct.
Okay? What does that actually mean? Let's say I'm a frontline sales manager. I'm a leader with 3 or 4 teams of sellers under me, with 3 or 4 sales managers running stuff. What does this actually mean in practice? How do I get people to win the relationship, not the deal? What is it? How do I do it?
Well, the mindset came to me through, I always like to describe since you talked about 80s movies, this one's in the late 80s. Do you remember the movie Christmas Vacation?
Yeah.
When Griswold goes in the forest and he sees the tree.
Yeah.
That's what happened when I said the phrase, we got to win the relationship, not the deal. And this came at the end of my corporate career when I was trying to explain that, because I was a frontline salesman. I was a player coach at that time.
Hard role, really hard.
Super hard. Yep. Super hard, specifically being an executive sponsor as well on our #1 largest account in the firm.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of the business was moving from Seattle to Dallas. So I was traveling and I was working with our Dallas team about helping them understand what it means to win when you lose. Like, we're not going to win every deal, but I expect you to win every deal. More importantly, I expect you to win people, which means sometimes we might need to tell them no. That's not what we do. But we might have to really do a really good job of saying yes, and then setting expectations, being great listeners, documenting, saying tight meeting recaps, over communicating, like things like that. So I go, even when we lose a deal, you can still win them. And I got a blank stare from the team. I go, let me go, for example, let's say we lost a deal to our competitor, Mr. and Mrs. Salesperson. And I said, what if you followed up in a week and said, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I'm really bummed that we weren't able to get the service or the product done for you, but I wanted to follow up to make sure that you got everything you wanted to get out of the product you chose from our competitor. Just that follow-up alone separated pardon my French, the shit out of me, which I didn't realize at the time, because sometimes the client would say, Casey, you know what? I haven't even actually heard from the other company I chose. Thanks for following up. Didn't sell one thing. Didn't tell them about me. Just all I did was how I made them feel.
Yeah.
So I think about like winning the relationship, not the deal. It's a mindset more than anything. And it's a mindset not only for external, but it's also for internal. Because I don't know if you've seen this in your work, but a ton of the sales leaders I work with, they love to be the smartest in the room. And they love to have all the answers. And they love to talk for the entire hour-long meeting. And I work with them to do the opposite.
Yeah.
Talk less. Silence is your friend. Use curiosity. Ask questions. 2nd, 3rd, 4th level to get them to come to their own conclusion.
Yeah. Silence is your friend. There's a really simple one as well. It's just the uplift. You must have heard they've got it's infecting us over here now. I think it's called the Valley Uplift. You ask a question like this, and at the end of everything you say, it sounds like you're asking, it sounds like you're dumb, basically. But The superpower, the super trick is just, you repeat the last three words and you make it sound like a question. Sound like a question? Yeah, because then people just keep on
Mm.
talking and they fill their own gaps. Fill their own gaps. Yeah, they do, and it just keeps on. It's wonderful. It's
You can
such
keep
a
going forever.
such a dumb thing to do, but my goodness me, you learn so much just by just letting them talk. Let them talk. Let them talk.
Well, and I would say something similar that I found helpful, that I learned this late in my career. I wish I would have learned it earlier, is when you ask a question. If I said, "Hey, tell me what would be a great outcome for our time together," Paul, and you might say, "Well, I want to learn more about your water bottle business." So most sellers are just going to go in and start selling, or most leaders are going to go, "I teach. Great. Tell me why they'll be important for you."
There you
Simple. And I've yet to have someone say, "Casey, no, I don't want to tell you more about it."
go.
They keep, and maybe I just jinx myself. They're going to do that next time I ask them. But if you're curious and with the right tone, which is what you're kind of teaching right there, and right body language, they will answer. And customers are begging for this.
Yeah.
They're begging for it. They just don't know it yet. But once you give them that experience, they're like, "Oh my God, that was amazing." I actually talked to a sales leader and a salesperson that listened and cared more about me than them. It was so fun.
It's when you, I think if you've got a goal of having, well, there's two parts to that. I think one is you're trying to have a conversation. Simple as that. You're just trying to have a conversation. You just want to talk to somebody as if they're just another person. And you're
Correct.
not there to steal their money or to shove something down their throat. I've got 46 slides starting with about the company and sounded in 1522. And but you're treating them like a person. You're finding out more about them. And if you can just, I don't know, just treat them like a human. Just just another person. Another person who happens to wear trousers, happens to wear pants, right?
Yeah.
Just be normal for goodness sake.
Well, here's you made me think of something. So some of the people I work with multiple industries, but one of the industries I coach in is in the staffing and consulting business. So I said, imagine, so if you were going to provide a team of consultants for this technology project, they're like, "Yeah, we're going to do that." I go, "Okay, now imagine if your mom or dad was the hiring manager or the client, the one funding the PO. How would your approach change? Would you still deliver? Would you still communicate with them the same?" He's like, "What do you mean?" I go, "Well, that's what I want you to think about. Think about them as your mom or dad's the customer,
Yeah,
and watch how your behaviors might be a little bit different."
yeah.
And they look at me, he's like, "That was actually really good and so simple." I go, "But it's in your mind. It's like we get going so fast, and we want to think AI, 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 automation, 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 create shitty experience, shitty experience, shitty experience, shitty experience.
Mm.
Sorry about the S words.
Sorry.
And you, but instead, well, how about we slow down and be uncommon and really, to what your point, create a human experience so people, you stop and they stop and like, "Man, that guy Paul was different. God, he asked great questions. What a great listener."
I would have paid for that meeting. Right? That, I mean, that's the sort of the mindset. Is just, can it be so valuable for them? Can you actually
Mm,
bring things to the table that are so useful? Whether it's your knowledge or your what you've got, some magical content collateral or other bullshit like that. But mostly, I think these days it's your questioning. Exactly as you said, it's your questioning. And they don't have to be super complicated questions. You're just trying to be curious. You're trying to be curious yourself. You also
mhm,
talk about humility and vulnerability, and I think that together, you're going there just saying, "Look, I don't have the answers. I work for a company who sells a thing, and this thing I think might be useful for you. So do you. That's why we're talking. What are you trying to do? Just have a chat. Have a
mhm,
structured chat. Have a direction of travel, right?
mhm.
But you talking to your mum. It's exactly that. You're talking to your mum. I did a podcast recording with my mother. It's going to be episode 100. Well, it will have been episode 100 by the time this one comes out. Um, and it's magnificent. And it's just me chatting to my mum. It's lovely. It's really
Yeah.
nice. And that model, I think, that was just it was a phenomenal, just this little shift on. Imagine you're talking to your mom or your dad. What would you say? How would you phrase it? You would dial it all the way back down to a level of humility because they know you're full of shit. They know you're full of shit, right? And they love you for it. They
Yeah.
love you for it. They absolutely do. But they know you're crap, right? You can also allow yourself to be just human and that vulnerability. You're not talking about going in the therapist's couch here. You're not bringing your whole
Mhm.
self to work. Sod that. If I brought my whole self to work, I'd get fired 4 times from Tuesday. But you can bring that part of yourself, that honesty, humanity.
Mhm.
This AI, can't you mentioned it? You mentioned the magic words there. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen with sales and AI? I've got a fairly robust opinion. We'll talk about that too, but I want you go
Yeah,
first.
you bet. It's not going to replace humans.
Hmm.
I'm betting on me. I'm betting on the impact that great questions are never going to get replaced by AI. My personal opinion. I think AI is saving us time. It's really easy to find the AI LinkedIn post versus the generated ones versus the auto-generated ones. Um, I think AI is going to make bad salespeople worse, uh, good salespeople a little bit better, and elite salespeople really, really elite because they're going to work smart. But AI, like sometimes I even have people say, Casey, you wrote a book, Win the Relationship, Not the Deal. Are you nervous about AI replacing it? I go, curious, tell me why. No, I'm not. Tell me why. Well, because they could just go into Chat GPT. I said, do it. I welcome that competition because I have 20 years of street fights.
Yeah.
I have 20 years of thousands and thousands and thousands of meetings. The person who's 22 years old and does that, good luck. I welcome a meeting with you, brother, sister. Let's go.
It's what was it, Bruce Lee? The Bruce Lee one. I fear not. I'm not going to do the accent because that's really offensive. Or at least my sort of Asian accent. I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks. I fear the man who's practiced one kick 10,000 times.
There you go.
There you go. And that leads you to, I think, wisdom, right? Because we're both of an age-ish here. And I define wisdom. I define wisdom as the knowledge that you have acquired, the experience to which you have during which you have used that knowledge, and then the reflection that you've given to the outcomes of the experience of the knowledge. But then I took that and I was chatting to my son, and he was 11 and he was 10, 9 at the time, and he goes to school all day, and he's in front of teachers. Okay, teachers are there teaching him. He's being taught. Okay, so I think that's his context, is being taught all the time. He's being taught. And he said, "No, Dad, that's not right. You're missing something." I said, "Okay, fair enough. Philosopher King, share your wisdom. Share your wisdom, sort of progeny of mine." And he said, "Well, yes, you're right with all the things you've learned, and then doing the things so you can try it out, and then thinking about the things that you've done, which is great. But if you don't share it, then you're just one of those guys sitting up a mountain doing yoga, right? So you got to share it, and it's exactly what you're doing. You're sharing your accumulated wisdom, and that I think is AI isn't wise. It has no experience. It has accumulated expressions of our experience and how we've talked about it. It has no reflection. It can have our reflection of it, but it has none of its own. And sharing it, it can vomit stuff at you, but then you have to curate and filter this. And I think you're exactly on the money with it's going to make bad salespeople worse at scale. You're
Big
going to
time.
be able to amplify crap. It'll make average salespeople a little bit better, and it'll make the elite people supremely, even better still. You know,
Mm.
they'll be able to accentuate themselves. The big problem I think we're going to have is the pipeline, and I don't mean money. I mean the pipeline of experience, or pipeline of people coming through. Because if you look at graduate jobs in the UK right now, I'm sure it's the same in the US because we kind of track each other. They've dropped off a cliff. There's like a third fewer graduate jobs out there because people think that the tools, the AI, can do a lot of the grunt work. And they're probably right. But if nobody's coming through and learning this stuff, then what happens?
Yeah. No bueno.
No, I mean that's it's kind of a wee challenge there. Back to humility, vulnerability, and curiosity, and building a sales culture. What's something that a sales leader can actually do to model that?
Well, there's a couple things. One, I want to share two things. I want to tie it to social media, and then I'll give it another example. And you made me think of it a second ago, Paul. So one of my clients I was working with, he's been in a company for 27 years. And I started my coaching, speaking, entrepreneurial journey business on accident. Didn't mean to do it on LinkedIn, just by connecting with people. And then I realized, man, maybe this is something I could do. Weird. It's working. Um, but this leader I was working with, I asked him, I said, tell me about how often you share your wisdom on social media. He goes, oh, I don't. I'm not a social media guy. I don't. I go, can I be permission to coach? He goes, sure. I go, stop being selfish. He goes, what? I go, you're being selfish.
Yeah.
Why would you hold 27 years of experience? The number of people in your company look up to you. No, they don't. I go, BS. Prove me wrong here. Uh, Post the story that you just told me, this client. I go, the story you just told me was so impactful. I actually got inspired by it. I actually got goosebumps. You're telling me. He's like, you did? I go, yeah. And you're going to tell that story on LinkedIn. You're going to tag me, and you're going to tag three of your clients, three of your teammates. He goes, okay. And I go, and I would be willing to bet you get an ungodly amount of engagement, multiple comments, because you don't do this.
Mhm.
Now, I don't post for likes. I don't post for engagement. I post to inspire one person.
Yeah.
That's why I do it. And if it works, great. And if not, I'm inspired selfishly
Yeah.
because I usually try to inspire. And so that's one way that the gentleman he had to be humble enough to be coached. He had to be vulnerable enough to try it and be curious just to find out. But I think back to the question is more tactical. If you're a leader right now and you're listening, you're like humble, vulnerable, curious. What's this guy talking about? I do that stuff. Really? Okay. If you're humble, tell me the last time you have said, or the last time you told your team when you sucked, or tell me the last time you told a story in front of your entire team where you almost got fired, or when you didn't know, or tell me the last time if you're vulnerable, tell me the last time you've said, I don't know. Just, Tommy, what do you think? Billy, what do you think? Tell me when's the last time you've encouraged your team to say, it's okay not to know. It's just not okay not to do anything about it. And then if you're really curious, evaluate your sales meeting. Are you talking the whole time?
Hmm.
Or are you saying, hey guys, uh, here's what I was hoping to talk about, but team, tell me what would be a great outcome for you and our time we have together today as a team. Great. Tell me more about that. If you're curious, you're asking second, third, fourth level questions.
Yeah.
If you're curious, you're listening, just like Ted Lasso says, be curious, not judgmental.
Hmm.
You're listening to learn, not to respond or react. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I'm off my soapbox now, brother.
That's all right. And you're right. You're allowed. You're allowed to soap. This is your soapbox. This is why we're here. I think so many, especially sales leaders, who are typically good salespeople who have been promoted, and if they're still sales leaders, they're actually good at the leadership bit because it's so common that some great salesperson gets promoted and basically then has no damn clue how to work with a team, and they forget all their sales skills. They forget how good a relationship person they are. They forget how humble they are, how courageous they are at asking big, difficult questions. And they go into some sort of spreadsheet junkie mode thing and command control, beating people over the head or whatever. And they forget all their great sales, which started with just a few questions. They forget how to listen.
Yeah.
And do
Well,
you know, yeah, it's your mindset thing. Go on.
I was just going to say, and when I was watching my daughter play basketball this weekend, my cousin, I'm not going to say her name, but shout out to her if she listens. And she was in the gym to come watch, and she just she's a sales leader of people that are more experienced than her and older than her.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I go, well, tell me how's it working out? She goes, well, I'm really kind of nervous. I got like this imposter syndrome because I feel like I don't know what to tell them. I want to add so much value to them. They know way more than me. And I just, I'm kind of nervous. I go, can I ask permission to coach my cousin? She's like, sure. I go, have they told you that? She's like, well, no. I go, oh, so it's the voice in your head that's telling you that.
It's fantasy football.
Okay. So I go, and the second thing is they don't want you to tell them anything.
No.
All they want you is say, hey, you've been here 8 years. I'm excited to be your new leader. Tell me what's one thing I could do to make your job easier today. Tell me what's one thing I can remove to take off your plate to make you sell and make more money.
Yeah.
Imagine if you asked them that question, they'd be like, wait, what? You're not telling me to go make more meetings and get my expense report done on time and talk to AP better and follow up with this. Like, no. Watch if you just ask them questions with humility, vulnerability, and curiosity. And now weird, your sales culture improves. They're excited to come to work. They're now going to create better experiences for your customers. Weird. Your time gets you get your time back because they're happier. They're not coming to you with their drama. She's like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Yet we are flawed humans and we don't think about that stuff
No.
because we think about the exact opposite of how we should be thinking about it.
They're flawed humans. That's a very, very true thing. I think I think the biggest mindset shift, there's two. One is for a salesperson and one is for a sales leader. And the salesperson is you're not selling the thing you're selling, you're selling the thing that happens after you've sold it, right?
Mhm.
And that alone, I think, shift most young, even some serious older types. They're not selling the $1 million thing, they're selling the thing that happens afterwards to once it's been used. It's not the drill, it's not even the hole, it's the pictures on the wall that makes the home. That's what they're selling. It's not the socks, it's the warm feet. Okay. And then for the sales leader, it's quite simple. Is your job is to make other people successful. So make other people successful, make the people around you successful. And if you're there to serve them and serve their success, and everything else falls from that, do everything in love, do everything for service. That you can't go far wrong. Yeah, probably can if
No,
you
and,
try
and
hard enough. You can't go far wrong.
and karma's legit, Paul.
Oh yeah.
If you lead with service, with genuine service, with authentic service, with
Mhm.
like, and people know you're not full of shit.
Mhm.
You're walking the walk. You're going out of your way to connect with others on LinkedIn. You're going out of your way to remember who your employee's favorite coffee was. You're remembering their birthday. You call them on their birthday, their anniversary, these little things. The universe will pay you back.
Yeah.
I've personally experienced it at almost 50 years old throughout my entire career.
Yeah. Does it again and again. Does it again and again. But you got to go in without any expectation. That's the thing.
100%.
That's the thing. You got to do it for the sake of doing it, not for the
Correct.
expectation of return. You know, that's the parking of the ego. It's the humility, the sublimation of the self. That sort of thing.
I call that a boomerang mindset. So
Boomerang
you're
mindset. That's nice. I like that. Okay.
So you were even though I'm not from Australia and I don't know how to throw a boomerang, but if I did, I'd
It's a
hope
bent
it comes.
stick. It's a bent stick. How hard can it be?
Yeah, and I don't know if it actually in the cartoons it always comes back to you, but like in theory, we're throwing positivity of boomerangs of positivity, boomerangs of service,
Yeah.
and they might come back to you tomorrow, next week, 2 years from now. Who cares? Just keep throwing them.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. We did the Quarterback Dadcast, which is a phenomenal podcast. You should be very proud of that.
Thank you.
Was there one lesson from fatherhood that you see transform leaders at work?
Um, Slowing down, meet people where they are, and ask questions versus telling people. So there's a great book that one of the people I interviewed is named Swen Nader. He played basketball for one of the most popular basketball coaches of all time in the United States, a guy named John Wooden, who passed away. He won like 8 consecutive national championships in college, university. Unheard of. Guy, one of the best coaches ever. And well, Swen Nader wrote a book called You Have Not Taught Until They Have Learned.
That's There you go. There's the contents of the whole thing in the title. That's a good title.
You have not taught until they have learned.
Yeah.
So that affects us as parents.
Mhm.
It impacts us as sales leaders because if we don't slow down, teach them, with questions, they're not going to understand what the hell we're talking about. If we just, hey, go get this done and do this. Okay, dad. Or, okay, boss. Wait, what does he mean? I'm scared to ask him for help because I don't want to
Yeah.
look like an idiot. So that to me is like, and the other thing, I know this is a long-winded answer, Paul, sorry, but I think the thing that one of my favorite things about interviewing, and I've interviewed over 300 and some odd dads, whether you're a sales expert like you, Paul, whether you're a pro basketball player, whether you're a head of finance, whether you're a stay-at-home dad, I always say the one thing we have in common, our kids don't give two shits what we do.
No.
We think we do. That's our male ego.
Oh, yeah.
What they care about is, hey, can you give me to swim practice? Hey, can we stop for ice cream on the way home? Hey, can I go sleep at Susie's house on Tuesday night? That's all they care about. So keep the ego checked, dads. It's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Right. And now we're not perfect. And shoot, my ego gets in the way at times. But I think having a practice of talking to dads, getting free therapy every time I talk to a dad keeps my ego checked most.
Yeah. Yeah. Recognizing there's somebody else who's smarter out there and that yeah, all that good stuff. Fantastic. Where can we find you when we need you, Casey?
I am very active on LinkedIn.
Yes, you are.
Very active on LinkedIn.
And your LinkedIn profile will be in the description down below, as will the website, Casey Jacox.
Cool. If you ever visit this little website called Amazon, some people have heard of it, Heavy Sarcasm. My book is on that site, so you can go find Win the Relationship, Not the Deal there. And if you are an audio version, I narrated it myself. If you like electronic, you can get it on Kindle, or if you like old school paperback, you can get it that way too.
Superb. One message, one
Yep.
core message. I've got here biggest Sharpie you've ever seen in your life. Huge billboard, and there's 10,000 of them. We're going to spread them around the world. What's the one message you're going to share with the planet?
I would share a question,
Hmm.
this is one of the most impactful pieces of advice questions I received that's early in my career, and I still use it every single day. So I would say, do you want to be right, or do you want to get what you want? Question mark. And that's it.
You want to be right? You want to get what you want?
Or do you want to get what you want? And then maybe in smaller, I'd say, I hope you pick the right one.
Visit my website if you're having trouble deciding.
Right.
Superb.
And when I first heard this question at age 23, I said, I want both. And my boss goes, you can't, you got to pick one. I'm like, okay, I want to get what I want. He says, good answer. And I go, well, why? He goes, why do you think? I go, well, I bet if I was being right, it's probably my ego might be in the way. He goes, you're a wise 23-year-old. So again, it just forced me and reminded me that like so often when we are trying to convince people, it's about our ego. So I would hope that people would see that billboard and they'd slow down like, shoot, was that for me? Maybe I better slow down and read that thing again. Take a picture, make a t-shirt out of it.
That's it. Buy the t-shirt and certainly go and buy the book. Casey Jacox, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Appreciate you.